From Chicago to China, every day millions of Big Macs and McChicken sandwiches roll off conveyor belts at dozens of plants owned by contract manufacturer OSI. The meat is flash frozen and then shipped off, ready to be reheated and dressed up with pickles, special sauce and sesame seed buns. Though few know it by name, OSI, one of the largest private companies in the U.S., is one of McDonald's largest and oldest meat suppliers. The Aurora, Illinois-based company has quietly been producing for the iconic chain for more than half a century and now does so in more than a dozen countries. OSI is firmly controlled by secretive billionaire Sheldon Lavin, the 88-year-old executive chairman who owns the vast majority of the $6.3 billion 2019 sales business. Lavin, who is worth an estimated $3 billion and debuted on the Forbes 400 this year, rarely talks to the press. That makes him the perfect low-key, behind-the-scenes partner for public and highly scrutinized brands like Kraft, Heinz's Oscar Mayer, Whole Foods and Chipotle, for whom it makes £45 million a year of steak, barbacoa, carnitas, sofritas, beans and salsas. A newer customer, added just last year, is Impossible Foods, the soy-based faux meat startup, which makes Impossible Whoppers for Burger King and breakfast sandwiches for Starbucks. Despite his blue-chip roster of customers, few know much about him. That's always been his motto, keep things quiet, says former OSI president Doug Gullang, who worked with Lavin for 30 years, declining to comment further. Sheldon has always been a very private person. With OSI being a privately held company, it wasn't necessary for us to attract a lot of notoriety. That is still very true today, though at the sunset of his career, Lavin allows himself to boast a bit. While he declined multiple requests to be interviewed for this article, he spoke to a blog, Professional Tales, in 2019 and reposted the interview on his Medium blog. I have a talent for building enterprises, said Lavin, nicknamed Shelly. I simply love seeing the pieces of a plan click together over time. Lavin aligned his business fate with McDonald's. OSI started out in 1909 as a butcher shop run by German immigrant Otto Kolschowsky in the Chicago suburbs. It wasn't until a fateful handshake between Kolschowsky's sons and McDonald's franchising agent Ray Kroc in 1955 that things really took off. Kroc had just opened the first McDonald's restaurant in Des Plaines, Illinois, and Otto and Sons became the fledgling franchise's first fresh hamburger meat supplier. As McDonald's expanded across the country, so too did its suppliers. Within a decade there were 150 of them shipping it fresh meat daily. When cryogenic flash freezing technology became available in the late 1960s, Kroc drastically cut down his number of suppliers, and offered one of 5 slots to Otto and Sons.